So today we're going to be talking about Google Workspace for Education Plus. So we're going to be specifically talking about practice sets today, although I'm going to be revealing a couple of the other new features that Google have brought to the past this September, which is always good. Obviously, if you want access to these solutions, these are part of the paid for versions. If you do want to go for a guided trial with one of our team, we're more than happy to set that up. So get in touch with us on the links on the chat, and we'll be more than happy to set you up with a guided trial if you're interested in any of these features and functions. So let's dive right into it. What we need to do is we need to get into Google Classroom. So we can go to classroom.google.com, or we can use the waffle icon and we can scroll and find our Google Classroom just there. So once we're in Google Classroom, if we've got practice sets available, it's there. So practice sets is a pre-curated set of guided instructions for pupils to go through. Obviously, these are set up by you as a teacher, and they are auto-marked as well, so they can go through different resources. So I'm going to create a practice set. I'm going to go with force calculations, so not the Jedi type, the actual Newton type, although there's some similarities between the two, I think, depending on what you're throwing. I'm going to think of a question to do with one of Newton's laws. So what is the force of an object that weighs about as much as me, about 40 kilograms I think that'll be. And then let's go with acceleration, roughly about the same speed as a unladen swallow.
What do you mean? An African or European swallow? Huh?
Once I've got my question in, I have my options. So short answer, could be a paragraph, it could be multiple choice but single select, or multiple select on there as well. So once I've got that, I can start typing in my answers. So I can put some correct answers in here, and I can make it a text answer if I wanted to, or I can toggle my maths answer button and put this in as a formula rather than it just being a text answer just here. So one of the answers I'm going to accept is the exact formula that we can use, which is force times, not x, times acceleration. The other answer I'm going to willing to accept is, let's have a think. So if I do force equals 40, let's use the keyboard, the maths keyboard instead, times 20. There we go. So I'll accept that one as an answer as well. And also I can accept the actual answer, which is force equals 800, audience participation. Yep, that's right, Newtons. We're going to talk Newtons. Once I have my answers in and I'm happy with those answers, and I'm willing to accept those answers, I want people to show me their working as well. I'm going to type that in, and that will all become apparent a little bit later on in terms of them showing their workings. Once I've put that in and I've got my workings out, put down as a tag, this is where I can start configuring things like extra help. Here is where I can add resources that's going to guide my learners towards an appropriate outcome in terms of their investigation and their answers. So one of them could be a text hint. So I'm going to go, okay, let's think about Newton's laws of motion. So I'm going to pop that in as a text answer and press save on that, which is great. On the extra help section, I can add a YouTube video. Now I'm going to go in and search YouTube. Again, this is leveraging the YouTube settings that you've got within your Google domain as well. So if you're using restricted mode on YouTube, that will return answers based on restricted mode. So I'm going to go to my friends at Khan Academy here, and I'm going to use that video because that's a good video. We like that one. Now the extra help section is the extra help on the practice set. Now I want that particular piece of help in the question that I've used. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to type in exactly the same thing. I'm going to use exactly the same video that I chose on the help section for the practice set on the physical question itself. Superb. So that's now added. Great stuff. Now, if I want to add some more questions, I can do that. So add a new question just here, any text I want to put in there. I can actually import questions as well, or import resources in from my Google Drive, or upload it from my device. Once I've added that in, I can now look at things like the skills. So if I click on the skills, you can see suggested skills. Now, why is this important? This is important because what this does is it drives the AI side of Google's practice sets to return help that is relevant to the skill that you have selected. So this means that the student is getting not just help that you've provided, but also help that the AI can see they need help with as well, based on that skill that you've selected. Superb, so I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to want to try this out and make sure this runs as it should as a student. So I click on the Try as a Student button, and this is where you now become the student. You are now the Padawan, not the master. I'm going to click on the extra help and just see what extra help it provides me with. So it gives me an overview of YouTube videos and other resources. The resources button, when I press on that, it will actually play back the extra help inside the practice set. So you don't need to exit, you don't need to go to YouTube in order to ingest that information. You can stay within it, less distractions for the student. Once I've looked at that resource and gained a little bit more understanding, I'm going to go to the Show Me Your Workings section. Now this allows the student to go freehand and put in their workings out. So you can see I've had a few coffees this morning, so I've got a bit of a shaky hand going on. If you've got a Chromebook with a touchscreen or a tablet, this is always easier, depending on obviously what your students have access to. So then I can go up to my answer section just here, and I can go, okay, let's check and see how that works. And again, it does give you little hints. So I'm going to put in one of my answers here, which is force equals 800 newtons. Check my answer, and I'll get a nice little tick. Woohoo! Superb. And I'll also get a nice confetti celebration, and not one that I have to clean up afterwards, which is always a good thing. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go back into my classroom. I'm going to press Done Editing. I'm happy with that. Once I've done editing, that's now in my bank of practice sets. So I've banked it. Now I'm going to visit classes. This is the Visit Classroom without being a co-teacher. This is a new feature from Google. So this allows me to visit those classes as a non-member of that class. This is only a teacher function. You can give that to Ofsted, could be heads of year, heads of department, which is a great little feature. Another new little feature that Google have got, creating your own grading scales. So previously with grading scales, you were only able to put in 0 to 100. Now you can do this based on proficiency, based on letter grades, A, B, C, D, etc. I'm going to use one that I know very well from my time at college, which is pass, merit, distinction. Put my distinction level in there, and I'll put the percentage of, let's say 90%, and anything that is, let's say 40%. To 70%, we'll set it as a pass, put my fail mark in there. Once I've got that grading scale in place for that class, I can actually expand that out to other classrooms that I work with. So if I work with economics, environmental science, and I've got a similar grading scale, I can put that in there as well. So once that's saved, that then goes over to all my classes. New grading scales, great little feature. Now let's get back to practice sets. I've got my practice set, so I'm going to assign that to my students. So it's like any assignment. I go into my assignment, and now it's a resource that I can add to assignments, as well as Google Drive stuff, as well as read-along stuff, as well as YouTube. I can add this as a resource for my assignment for my students. And again, it's self-marking. So I go in, I select my false calculations practice sets, make sure it's the right one. I'll attach that. There we go. And that is all in there. Before I assign it, I just make sure that I've got the right grading categories in here, so I can set my categories and just make sure I've got my right scales. I'm using the different grading categories available. I can also set a grading period if I want to, just to set expectations with students that I'm going to mark these within a week and you'll get them returned, which is always good. Once I'm happy, press assign. And there we go. My assignment has been created, and you can see there that will appear in the student's timeline for them. That is practice sets. That is the Visit Classrooms feature, and that is the grading scaling feature that has now come to Google Workspace for Education Plus. If you're looking at these features and thinking, I want a piece of that, then that's good. Come and give us a shout, speak to one of our team. Again, as we mentioned, we can set you up with a guided trial, which means that you can understand how this would work in your environment and obviously add context to the actual content that we've put in there as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it was useful, and we look forward to speaking to you very soon.